The Avengers radio series, a cultural phenomenon in South Africa back in the 1970s. South Africa was a country with no national television service. It wasn't until 1976 that the country would get its first taste of television broadcasts. But before that, radio was the primary medium of entertainment and information for the masses. This was the context when The Avengers, a British spy FI series, made its debut on South African radio and became a cultural phenomenon. The Avengers was a British television series that originally aired from 1961 to 1969. The show revolved around the adventures of John Steed, a suave and sophisticated secret agent, and his various female associates. The series was a unique blend of traditional spy thriller elements with science fiction and fantasy, which set it apart from other shows of its time. While the series was hugely popular in the UK and had also made a significant impact in the American markets, being one of the rare British series given a network transmission slot, it was virtually unknown in South Africa. This was primarily due to the lack of a national television service in the country until 1976. However, as a film series, The Avengers was able to gain some exposure in South Africa through film rentals. But it was the launch of the radio series that truly brought The Avengers to the masses in South Africa. Come and listen at www.myclassicradio.net. The Black Museum. Horror and mystery based on Scotland Yard's collection, Orson Welles was both host and narrator for stories of horror and mystery based on Scotland Yard's collection of murder weapons and various ordinary objects once associated with historical true crime cases. Walking through the museum, Welles would pause at one of the exhibits, and his description of an artifact served as a device to lead into a wryly narrated dramatized tale of a brutal murder or a vicious crime. In the United States, the series aired on the Mutual Network between January 1 and December 30, 1952. Beginning May 7, 1953, it was also broadcast over Radio Luxembourg, sponsored by the cleaning products Dreft and Miro. Since the BBC carried no commercials, Radio Luxembourg aired sponsored programs at night to England. In the United States, a program of similar scope, using many of the same picked cases as the Black Museum, and nearly mirroring its broadcast run, was broadcast by NBC called Whitehall 1212. The two shows were different in the respect that while Whitehall 1212 told the story of a case entirely from the point of view of the police starting from the crime scene, the Black Museum was more heavily dramatized and played out scenes of the actual murders and included scenes from the criminal's point of view. Come and listen at www.myclassicradio.net.
Now, don't go away, because next on CBS Radio's Comedy Time are those two zany characters of many characters, Bob and Ray.
And now, Bob Elliott and Ray Goulding present the CBS Radio Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bob and Ray Show for another week, and a real happy day it is here in our studio.
All the cast have gathered because this marks the end of Webley Webster's suspension. You remember a few weeks ago he corrected us, and although we appreciated it at the moment, we thought that maybe for discipline purposes he needed a few days suspension.
Speak right up when they talk to you, and don't correct them.
Hi again, everybody, and Bob and Ray, it's a pleasure to be off suspension. I didn't know how much I missed the show.
Well,
and let me assure you that I will do nothing to irritate you again.
Well, I guess you've learned your lesson, in other words, but all of that is forgotten now. You're back in our good graces, and all of the rest of you, I think, probably have learned a lesson too, haven't you?
Yes, I do. Yes. Well, Selwyn, I've had a note from so many of my friends wondering if, now that my suspension has been lifted, if it would be possible for me to sit down at the huge Bob and Ray Consolorum and present my famous rendition of Jealousy.
Well, I guess this is time for us to spring a little surprise on you, Webb, because Ray and I were talking about this very thing this morning.
Waiting to pull the curtain back just a minute.
Okay.
What's this,
kind of yes, sir. You're receiving a promotion today. And here, behind this curtain, is the great Bob and Ray console organ.
There it is. oh boy, oh boy.
And you are to be the official organist for the program until such time as we see fit to remove you from that duty.
Well, I hope you never do. Well, I'm going to go over now and see if you want to...
All right.
Would you introduce me? You want a song now?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Jealousy.
Sure, we might as well.
Jealousy.
Welcome you back to the ranks. Here is Webley Webster at the console to play Jealousy. Wonderful, Webb, and we certainly happy to have you back in the ranks as our Bob and Ray organist, and we'll be looking forward to more renditions from you in the future.
Well, wait a minute. That's just the introduction.
I know, but we're very tight for time this evening, and we'll have to conclude that number at a later date, I guess.
Gee, well, I better not say anything about the front of the job.
That's right. I think you're going to be happy with your lot as it is.
Certainly nice. Well, anyway, maybe next week sometime, or this week I can try it again.
Sure. There's always other days.
Wonderful.
Go back to your seat now and sit down and enjoy the rest of the day. Congratulations, Wesley.
I have a
tiger.
Yes. Well.
How are you, Mary?
Well, I picked up a small cold from standing around all the water up there.
Oh, at the fire.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I think the check came through, and I think I was going to Wing West.
Oh, the insurance money that came out right away, huh?
Woo, boy.
So you're going to have a little extended vacation.
Well, I think if I can shake this dog out of the sun.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Be sure to take along your Columbia stereophonic phonograph, won't you?
What's that?
This tells all about it.
Hi, partners. I'm going to explain the difference between ordinary stereo phonographs and Columbia Stereo 1. Listen to an Orwell on ordinary stereo. Now listen to it on Columbia Stereo 1. Man, there's a real 1,000-barrel-a-day sound. The difference is Columbia's stupendous stereo projection, not just a couple of speakers shooting in different directions. Columbia gives you the real thing, fills every inch of the room with all the sound and feeling of a live performance. And I mean a Texas-sized room. Man, ain't that the prettiest money-making sound? I mean, get down to your Columbia phonograph dealer and ask. Demand to hear Stereo 1 by Columbia. Why, they start as low as $39.95 for portables, $129.95 for consoles. Somebody count that well. We're losing a fortune.
And now, as a sustaining feature of the Bob and Ray Show, we bring you another episode of One Color's Family. Today's episode, entitled Prowlers Upstairs, is taken from book CLVII, chapter IXIII. It's shortly after 9 p.m. in the evening as we find Mother and Father sitting in the den. Downstairs, Father is reading the newspaper. Mother is standing just inside the door. And we hear...
Yes. Eddie?
Yes?
See here where they've noted there's prowlers in the neighborhood again.
Well, I saw that in the paper, too.
Yes. They were seen over at the Watsons' house just last week.
Really?
Yes.
Now, the Watsons were away, and they didn't even tell the newsboy
Yes.
not to deliver papers.
Yes.
the milkman kept coming, too. I mean, they broadcast the fact that they were going to be away.
Yeah, the weather is turned cold. Just a while back, and yes, it was just
like the
like summer.
Like some of this furniture out there, pretty old, good antiques, but I didn't see any good brooches or diamonds or anything like that.
Forecast is for good weather tomorrow, though.
Yes, do you have the radio on?
They'll hear us downstairs.
What's that, Fanny?
Do you have the radio on?
No.
Thought I heard
Radio is
voices.
in the kitchen.
Thought I heard voices.
Sure? You're hearing things, Fanny.
Well, now, that dog I heard. Whose dog is that?
It's the Watson's watchdog.
Well, a fine watchdog he is to have their house ransom.
What's that, Betty?
I said he must be a poor watchdog.
Who?
Watson's.
Watson's not a watchdog. Oh, Watson's dog.
I thought you said that they had a watchdog. You know, I believe that I hear prowlers upstairs in our own house.
Well, it stands to reason if they get the Watsons, they'd hit us next. See here where the dentists are going to have a convention in town this month.
They were here a few years ago, I think.
Yes. Fine time they had too.
They have a good time. Well, you know, it's like the old joke. They like to get away because they're down in the mouth so much. Penny. I think I read that in one of those magazines. It was a joke sent in. The person got $5.
Did you drop something, Penny?
No, I think it's getting...
I'm going out to the kitchen and get a cupcake or something. I'll meet you out there.
Time for me to go to bed, I believe.
Yes, well, I believe I'll stay up and read a little longer.
Well, be sure now and put out the lights.
You want me cupcake?
Before you come upstairs.
All right.
Get up the car, I'll be right out.
Okay. Leave the light on.
I will. Just hope that we don't have any problem with prowlers upstairs.
You've been listening to One Fella's Family, brought to you as a sustaining feature on the Bob and Ray Show. Today's episode, entitled Prowlers Upstairs, was taken from book CLVII, Chapter IX, III. One Fella's Family is written and produced by T. Wilson Messy. This is a Messy production. Did you say anything? At all?
Oh, I was just helping the guest over here.
Oh, fine. Our interesting guest for today is already here on stage with us, and he's attired in a leotard, I guess you'd call it.
These are skin-tight pants, not a leotard, Mr. Goulding.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. George Sorfer of Dale's Inlet. Now, would you explain to our audience why you're wearing, what you're wearing?
Well, I'm wearing a tunic over these skin-tight pants.
And I see a good many layers of clothing under the tunic.
Yes, anytime you ice skate to Russia, you better be dressed for it.
I see.
As you notice, I'm wearing 3 sweaters under the tunic, and I got them a size too large.
Well, what's the idea behind that, Mr. Sorfer?
Well, the idea behind loose clothing is to trap the air in between the garments so it can circulate.
Well, now, would the circulating air be warmed by body temperature? Is
That's what
that
I'm counting on. Now, you can't see it, but underneath the sweaters, I'm wearing a vest. And underneath that, 4 shirts. And that about covers the garments on top. Now, I plan to wear 6 pairs of heavy woolen socks, all very loose.
That's employing the same principle as the sweaters.
That's right, air circulation.
Well, will you be able to get your skates on over all those socks?
Well, I'll be wearing a pair of skates much larger than the size I usually use, but the large-sized skates won't be worn for purposes of air circulation. I'll need them because of all the socks I'll be wearing.
And how about headgear? Are you going to wear more than one hat?
I feel that taking unnecessary equipment on a trip is foolish. That was one of the troubles with the Lewis and Clark expedition. Too much equipment.
So you'll be wearing one hat then?
That's right. An old Army campaign hat, cinched under my neck with the string on it.
How about gloves?
Mittens. One pair there, too. You can't beat mittens for warmth and practicality.
Well, I hope you remember that when you pick up a road map, Mr. Silver.
I will.
Incidentally, what kind of skates are you going to use on this trip?
Well, I'll have to skate across the Bering Straits to Siberia, so I decided against using races. I'm using the conventional sturdy hockey skate.
Oh, the kind the goalies wear.
Yeah, that's right.
And how are you going to get up to Alaska in the Bering Straits, Mr. Silver?
I'm flying up by Trans-Cold Airways, airway of the long, frigid night.
Well, now, what's the weight of all that gear you intend to wear?
About 430 pounds.
Well, I certainly hope you don't hit a soft spot in the ice somewhere in the Bering Straits, sir.
I hope not, too.
Now, sir, why are you skating to Russia?
I have relatives there.
Well, thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Sulphur, thereby giving us an opportunity to study you firsthand.
We have a minute or so here today to remind you, folks in high schools and colleges, that Natalie Attired will be around this week to say another college or high school song, depending on what letter is chosen from the voluminous mail that we expect to be received.
What does Natalie Attired look like?
She is rather tall, oddly enough. Quite a few people have asked us that. She's taller than you'd think by hearing.
Is she older than I am, would you say?
I don't know her age.
We're about the same age.
Say, pretty near the same age.
Mary, your stockings are slipping. I'm not wearing any stockings.
No, I didn't think so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So you get a letter to us and include your college or high school song, and we'll try to have Natalie do it on a future day.
Where does Natalie live, Bob?
Lives right here in town.
She does? Does she go away at all, or does she travel with...
Well, she did travel, sang songs around the country for quite a while.
Is the fellow who plays the drum, is he a relative or just
Eddie?
a musician?
No, he's just a musician.
Picked up.
Pick-up musician.
Is that so? Well, I was curious. Now, I know a lot of my friends I used to have up in Maine wondered about that.
What, the similarity in sound? Or?
Well, wondered about her. They
thought
that she sounded like...
Oh, I'd say she's a good 6'6", wouldn't you, Joe?
Yeah. Oh, easy. Yeah. Oh, that's very tall for a lady.
Would you move over, Mary? I think Ray is going to say something.
Yeah, excuse me a second. We'll have the voice of the mystery celebrity in just 10 seconds.
And tomorrow's mystery celebrity voice is this.
This is Bing Crosby.
And until tomorrow, this is Ray Goulding, reminding you all to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumb.
This is the CBS Radio Network. Your